Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Eric with Mind Melt Podcast. Thanks for listening. Today we talked a little bit about some DMT. We talked about the Congo. We talked about Africa. We talked about just some news and politics and all that bullshit. So check it out. If you enjoy the podcast, hit us up on Instagram, Twitter at Mind Melt Podcast, or you can shoot me an email directly. I love getting emails from people. It's so fun. I've had a few come in that were just awesome. You know, just talking about different experiences that people have had, things like that. So hit me up with an email. I'll respond. Find us on Instagram, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye. Hey, what up, everybody? This is Eric and Kandra with the Mind Melt Podcast, and today is August 12th, 2018. So I hope everybody's week has been going good. Today, we just kind of want to have a bullshit talk about some of the stuff that I have been reading about in the news lately. Maybe not the news, but the science journals and stuff. But I just wanted to kind of say thanks to everybody for listening to the last episode of the podcast. It was really hard to talk about something as sensitive as meth addiction. And it was also really cool to get it out there because I feel like I oftentimes want to help people with that, but I don't really know how. And it's extremely hard to help people with that, and I don't know if that is even going to help anybody with it, but hopefully it does.
Yeah, that was the first time we had talked about it, and it kind of felt cool to just hear the responses and the support and all the love from our friends who maybe they didn't even know it was going on. So yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah, I actually felt really weird after, like the day after.
Me too.
Just thinking about it and just kind of reminiscing. It's not something I want to reminisce about often.
Yeah, it brought up a lot of emotion.
Yeah, it did.
Not in a bad way. Just, it was, a lot that I learned as well. So there was new information for me.
Yeah, and so. I was so thankful to have so many people reach out. I had a lot of friends that I haven't talked to in a while text me and email me just saying that they listened to it. It's definitely in our most downloaded podcasts that we've recorded so far.
Yeah.
And that's just in a couple of days as opposed to the ones that we have up for months or whatever.
Is it up there with Flat Earth?
It's higher. It's way higher.
Dang.
It's almost it's almost doubled it. Not tripled, and that's almost doubled it.
That's probably mostly all of our friends.
Yeah.
Because they care about us.
Honestly, most of the podcast is most of our friends. I don't think that there's probably too many people.
The Flat Earth one wasn't, though.
Yeah, that one I think people just searched for Flat Earth and found it or something. But it was really cool, though. I just, it's so weird because like you kind of worry about people judging you.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't want to be the kind of person that's ashamed of that past because it happened. So it's not, it's out. It happened whether or not I talk about it. So talking about it is just another way that it can hopefully help someone,
Yeah. Move past it. It feels good to get it out there.
It does. It does. So yeah, thanks again. Talking about it and stuff is helping me too in a way. And, if anybody ever has any questions or anything like that, you can definitely text me or email me, mindmeldpodcast@gmail.com. But, so today I really wanted to tell you about this crazy medication that they just got FDA approved. And it's kind of sci-fi. It's like
just so everyone knows, I don't know any of this information he's about to say.
Yeah. And
we wanted to do kind of like a raw discussion and not talk about it beforehand.
Yeah. And so it's really weird. Basically what it does, it's a gene silencing drug. So for those of you that don't know, you can turn on or off genes. Mm-hmm. You can turn genes on and off by diet, exercise, so many things. I mean, everything kind of impacts it in a way. And the way that works is like DNA. I'm going to work on saying like I am driving myself fucking crazy. So
Well, when you pointed it out, I noticed it
I know.
so much. So
Yeah.
let's work on not saying like
I
all
just
the
said
time.
like. It's so fucking annoying. I hate it when people do that. So if I say it, if there was a way that you guys could shock
Just
me,
play a drinking game.
no, I wouldn't be able to walk. Anyways, so gene editing, it's real. It isn't. A lot of people think that what our genes are permanent, fixed, and the reason why is because people think of genes specifically as DNA. But DNA
like
isn't
what's given to you by your parents from birth, and that's it.
Right, but also that's just the genetic code. But how DNA plays a part in our body is in each cell there's strands of DNA, and then that turns into RNA, which I think is called transcripting. I'm not. This stuff is totally freeform, just so everybody knows. I'm not an expert. I really hope I get this right, but I think it's called transcription or something, and that is when DNA turns into RNA. And when DNA turns into RNA, that is the beginning process of it turning into proteins. And proteins are the part of the body that builds, it is different proteins act in different ways, and they're responsible for different things. And so a lot of disease are based on that DNA transition over to protein. Because sometimes it'll get corrupted on the way over to the protein, and then that creates disease. So I don't know. I'm just using this as an example. I don't know enough about cancer, but I believe something like cancer would be the product of the DNA transitioning over to protein and that being malfunctioning somehow. I don't really understand it enough to talk about it, but
well, it makes sense. I was just listening to Dr. Rhonda Patrick the other day talking about deep breathing or yoga or meditation and how that creates proteins that reduces cortisol and stress levels and helps with inflammation. So, but she was talking about the protein. I can't remember what the protein name was called.
I know which one you're talking about, and it's a very large word.
It
so
is
I
a hard
word.
Yeah. When she said it, I was like, what? But,
yeah. So it's really interesting. I wanted to read a little bit about this process before we got on the podcast today, because it is such an interesting thing. And that is why, now that we're starting to understand how genes and DNA act in the body, it's so crucial that we do things like have a good diet and eat the right nutrients, because it's directly responsible for that. We have to give our blood and our body the nutrients in order to process that transition correctly. So this new medication is a gene silencing drug. And what it does is there's certain proteins in the liver that it goes in and it shuts those genes off in the liver so that it doesn't transition over to those proteins that cause the disease. So
you can prevent disease, possibly.
Well, yeah.
That's the idea of it.
Specific diseases that this drug is responsible for. So this drug is called patisiran, and it just now got passed, I think, on the 10th. And it's really interesting. It kind of scares me because I don't understand it enough. I'm not a fucking pharmacologist or anything like that. But the reason it freaks me out is because I think about what happens if the drug starts to turn off other genes.
Yeah, because, you wouldn't really know until later.
Well, yeah, and they've only had 18 months of trials.
Yeah, it's so new.
That's
like with anything when it's so new like that.
Yeah, could you imagine if, like, the first 18 months is fine, but then, maybe 24 months after that, it starts to it's still active in the body somehow. It starts to shut off other DNA. Because DNA
you grow a third toe.
I don't know if you do that.
A third toe, an 11th toe.
Maybe a third. Yeah, another third toe. You'd have two third toes. Who knows? I don't know. This is just total, like, me talking out my ass. But I think that to me, it's really cool though, because we're living in a science era that is just,
technology is amazing.
It's amazing. We are truly able to alter our genes, and then there's CRISPR. Oh, you don't know what CRISPR is? Okay. No. Well, CRISPR is this new technology that has been invented where they insert different. It's basically a computer version of DNA, and they inserted it, and it's like software that can edit your genes. So over my head, but yeah, it's like a gene editing.
It's weird.
drug, I guess. It's not really a drug because it's not, it's not administered. This is only clinical right now. There have been in other countries, there have been people that use CRISPR as a way to do things. There was a doctor that was willing to do it on himself, and that's the only reason that it hasn't been administered to humans very much. It's been administered to a lot of mice. But I know that in one mouse there was, I want to say color change, like hair color change or eye color change or something fucking crazy like that.
Weird.
I mean, the idea that the technology itself is so sci-fi because
yeah, sounds like it.
When I've listened to a bunch of podcasts of people talking about it, and every time I do, I'm just like, whoa.
We can change your eye color maybe one day.
Maybe. I mean, who knows what the limitations would be. I'm sure someday we'll be able to change anything we want, anytime we want, you know? There was another article I was reading today about the first artificial lung.
Oh.
And that is huge.
Like all...
mechanical, I don't know.
Oh.
But
all set up with your whole other system, like in there? Or outside of the body?
I don't think that it's been put into a body yet.
Oh, I see.
But that's just a huge advancement because they've got hearts down to a science pretty much. They can really do hearts pretty seamlessly, and so they're just gonna keep on. It's not like our population isn't over control. Anyways, I mean it's crazy. So, but let's let everybody live forever too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool though.
That's kind of what most people want.
I'm into it. At least extend life. I mean, why not?
Interested.
Yeah. I think if we could get like just the smart fucking people, Elon Musk, make him live 2,000 years old.
Yeah, true.
I'm trying to think of someone who I despise, make them live 40. But
Eric Dubé.
No, Eric Dubé isn't. I'm
totally kidding, just because we mentioned flat Earth earlier.
I know. It's just I'm trying to think of someone a little bit more maniacal, like maybe the Nestle CEO, that guy that said that water isn't a human, right? He should,
like someone actually like corrupt and fucking people.
Right. He should live to be like 20. He'd be already dead. We wouldn't even have ever heard that speech.
Yeah. Go back in time.
Yeah. So I just thought this technology is so crazy, though.
That is crazy.
I mean,
I think about that sometimes, though. Like, I have actually Googled, not that I would ever do it, but if there are surgeries that change eye color or things like that. Because there's contacts, but like a permanent, I can't put contacts in my eye. I'm a wussy.
Remember that guy that we met at that festival one time that said he smoked DMT and it changed one of his eye colors?
I think he was on DMT while he was saying that, so I don't believe him.
He wasn't on DMT.
I think he was in the middle of a trip, and I think he was translating for something.
But no, I have read online that it has changed people's eye color.
No, fuck.
I've read that online. I don't know if that's true. I've read it online. This is however long ago, 8 years ago or whatever, so I really should not just...
Well, so you're saying someone else said it happened to them too.
Yeah, I've definitely read it online because after I saw that guy say that, I was thinking, wow, this is crazy. And so I went online and I looked and I found other people that said that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We were like walking by him and we didn't even start a conversation. He just ran up to us.
Yeah.
He was like, have you ever done DMT? We're like, no, but we want to. And he's like, don't do it, man.
Yeah.
Change one of my eye colors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem with him was that he just decided to go inside of some random hippie's tent and smoke DMT. He had no idea what it was or anything. He told us that. Yeah,
I know. I agree you shouldn't do it that way. But I don't think that would affect what it physically does to you. Eye color.
If you're not... Oh, well, I mean,
right?
We don't know anything about that part of it. I'm not sure.
I'm just making like an educated guess.
Yeah, it's not really educated.
Yes, it is.
You're not educated on DMT.
My own educated guess.
I'm just saying, we don't know. I don't know how it interacts with the brain. Maybe it could change eye color.
That's what I'm saying, is like doing it that way randomly. Like,
oh yeah, that wouldn't do that. Yeah.
If it was going to change your eye color or not, I don't think it has anything to do with like him doing it wrong. I think if that would have happened, that would have happened no matter what. If that happened,
right?
Does that make sense? What
I
I'm
agree.
saying?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think that what I'm saying is that I don't know if that eye color thing was the reason he was freaked out. I think he was freaked out because of the experience that he had, and
like he just snapped out of it. Do you think that just happened?
No, I don't think that. I think that he probably had the shit scared out of him because he smoked DMT maybe 6 hours ago, maybe a day ago. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. But I remember him being frantic and running up to strangers telling them this.
Do you remember when you first blasted off?
Yeah.
Do you remember how scary that was?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy just like randomly smoked it in a tent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that if he wasn't expecting that,
mm-hmm.
that would probably, like, you would reevaluate everything that you've ever lived for.
You do.
You know, yeah. And so I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Just the, you know.
Yeah.
But that was a stupid way to do it, though. I think that you should never take drugs from strangers, kids. And if you do, don't do it that way, you know? But yeah, that was really interesting.
Funny.
Now I want to know if it changes your eye color, though.
We should look into it.
I mean, it never changed mine.
I know. And I feel like you've done it a lot.
Yeah. Maybe it just has something to do with, you know, I don't know. There's probably something. Maybe it turns on genes or something when certain people. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah. The only side effects I know of it is, you know, complete and utter life-changing, you know, responsibilities.
Near-death experience.
Yeah.
Similar qualities to
not
that.
wanting to litter anymore.
Not wanting to go bowling.
That was so funny. So the first time that Kendra and I, well, not the first time, but when Kendra and I had smoked DMT in the past, there's a way that you have to do it in order to really blast off. Mm-hmm. You have to really inhale it and hold it, and then inhale it and hold it and inhale it and hold it. You can't just breathe it in and breathe it out. You don't blast off. You might see a little bit of visuals or whatever.
Yeah, you will.
But yeah, you will. I mean, you'll definitely have a trip, but it's not full blast off mode
in a different place.
Yeah, it's not, you know, when people talk about DMT and that whole experience, most people I know haven't had that experience.
Yeah, it's weird to me, like at festivals, people are just kind of smoking it casually and like looking at the mountains. And those people have
never blasted off.
And I'm like, that's so weird that you guys do it like that. Yeah. Like it's just such a different way to do it. Right. Just do it casually and not go anywhere.
They've never done. I don't think that.
Or maybe they have, and they just
like
because it looks like freaking Legoland.
I just don't think that if you've had that actual experience, I don't see how you could casually do it.
Well, I personally want it, but people
surprise you. But back
you.
Before we had the actual blasting off experience, we did do it kind of casually at first because we didn't have the blasting off experience. And so we thought that it was just this little, you know, wow, this is cool. So we're so enlightened and whatever. And so the first time.
And then I got my shit rocked.
Yeah, the first time.
And I thought I died.
Yeah, the first time that Kendra blasted off was probably the 10th time that we had smoked DMT. Mm-hmm. And we did it together, and I didn't blast off, but Kendra did. And she comes out of it and she's like,
no,
I'm
I was
dead.
Gone forever though.
Right.
And then I didn't know where Earth was, couldn't remember English. But I mean, I was somewhere.
Right.
Feeling everything, looking at everything, seeing every color, talking,
being a part of it, you know, like
I
you're
was
a part
there
of every color.
For a very long time. Mm-hmm. And then slowly I started to remember, oh my gosh,
I had a life.
There was Eric.
Yeah.
And I was able to form a sentence finally.
Right.
Eric, I'm so sorry I died. That's what I said.
And I was like, honey, you didn't die.
And I hear this, it was far distant in the background, this little giggle, Eric saying, oh no, you didn't die. People say that you're good. People say that online all the time. And I'm and then just this rush of, oh, okay. And then I finally rode the wave and enjoyed it. But
and then it was funny because when she comes back and she's just her whole experience in life has changed. Everything that she believed is altered basically because that's what it does. And we're gonna go bowling.
And you're all getting ready to go bowling. I'm like, no, dude, did you not just smoke that shit?
Yeah.
Did you not just do that with me? And you're like, yeah.
And I'm just over here like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm like, I'm not going bowling, dude. I can't fucking bowl right now.
And then we went, and one of our friends that was with us got into a fight with someone, or was gonna get into a fight with someone. And
I remember staring at them, and I'm just like, dude, let's bounce. I can't even handle this.
Why would you guys fight? No, this is you should love each other.
I did not say that.
That was what you felt. You were like, you definitely, yeah, it was at that point in time, it was like 6 hours later.
But I didn't frantically say that to them.
No, I know. But
I just thought it was so stupid.
It's stupid. Yeah. When you experience that,
yeah,
you realize how
silly
minor everything else is.
Yeah.
And so then a week or so later, I had done it, and
you got on my level.
I got on Kandra's level, and I just remember I had done it a couple other times.
I think all you said when you like came back, you're like, oh, okay.
And then I think I went to my room. I think I had friends over, and I went to my room and I shut the door. Didn't want to talk to anybody. Just needed like a week to think about what just happened. Yeah, that was so funny. It was crazy though. It's such a crazy experience. And since then, I've blasted off numerous times.
Haven't in a while, but
it's been a long time.
Well, we used to like have ceremonial experiences where we'd bring our friends over,
invite people over,
and we would like lay pillows out and play music and
yeah. I know it's
share
so
with them.
funny.
It's funny. What's funny though is now like coworkers or just people like in my normal life will talk to me about it and be like, have you ever heard of this DMT thing? And like, I'm like, yeah, I got it the molecule tattooed on me, and that's what my music project name is named after. And like, they're like, what?
I know.
And it
so
always
funny.
cracks me up.
You weren't supposed to say that. Not very many people know that. I don't think that our music project.
I'm not supposed to say that.
No, I guess it doesn't matter. Now the world knows. I always like when people come up to us and they know what it means.
I like that too, but I didn't know that was like a rule.
No,
we never even talked about
it's not
it.
A rule.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's not really a rule, but I know it is. I would highly recommend to anybody that wants to change their life, try it out.
Yeah, with good people in a good setting, and
not at a festival,
a good headspace,
not in a random hippie tent at a festival when you've never heard of it before.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because I haven't done it in, I don't even know.
3-4 years?
Yeah, a long time. It seems like anyways. And
the last time that we did it, I think, was when we were in Meridian after we were living with Nick.
So that was more like 5.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
4, 5.
5.
4. Whatever.
It was in 2000.
But I don't really feel the need to do it right now.
5 years ago.
Do you? Do you want to?
Need?
Not need, but like
I don't
desire.
feel the need to do anything right now, but
Do you know what I mean though? Like,
yeah.
Do you feel like that would benefit you at this time?
I think
it would benefit anyone.
Anytime. I don't.
But back then I was obsessed. I was obsessed with it. It's not like I would do it every day, of course.
Right.
But like I remember trying to convince my dad to do it.
Oh yeah, I know. I thought it was the answer to everything, and I mean it could be. I don't know. But
he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Well, I also used to think so much differently than I do now about it too. We were
pretty young.
Yeah, I mean, as far as being because now I'm totally a materialist. I don't really think that you leave your body, and I don't think that there's a soul or whatever, but I do think that that experience is extremely profound. And I think that when you have that experience and you have such an altered state of consciousness, you start to really realize how fragile the mind is. You start to really understand that this is such a temporary, beautiful thing. But I don't think that necessarily means that you're leaving your body and going out into the universe.
It doesn't have to, though. It feels like that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So having that experience and it feeling like that is like the same as it actually happening. Whether or not that's the case, I don't think that matters.
Well, it's kind of funny because a lot of times when I talk to people about being an atheist or not believing in higher power or whatever, a lot of times people think that denotes those experiences, and I don't think it does at all. Like
having like a uplifting or enlightened or spiritual experience.
Right. No, I don't. I mean, when you hike to the top of a mountain, you look off, you see the sun setting in the distance, and you see an elk in the valley, and you hear it bugle, and you just get that like high. That's still, I mean, I feel so connected.
Atheist people still feel like that?
Yeah. Believe it or not, we don't just drink the blood of infants or whatever. But it's interesting. I don't know. It almost makes me feel honestly more than I used to. I feel like before when maybe not more. I don't know.
Because you never did you claim to be atheist before?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
You did.
maybe not in the super LSD times or whatever when I was doing a lot of that stuff and DMT and stuff. I wouldn't have put a label on it, but before you and I met, I had been an atheist for 3 years.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was a strong atheist. I mean, I thought, but I mean, I just thought that I was like Sam Harris's best friend. You know, I well, not Sam Harris because he's not really that militant. I was a militant. I was what Richard Dawkins, like how people think of Richard Dawkins is how I was for sure. I was militant about it. I thought everybody that didn't think that way was stupid, and I don't think that at all anymore, obviously. But
and then you did mushrooms.
Yeah, and then I did mushrooms,
and
but I still
me.
never thought that there was a higher power. You know,
or
anything like that. I never thought that there was a heaven, or I never really believed in reincarnation. It was a pretty idea. I mean, it's beautiful in theory.
It is, and
I don't know. I mean,
no,
who knows? It
not.
could be I mean, I could come back. Chances are is I'll come back for like 5 minutes as a squirrel, and then every time I'll just get downgraded because they you know, like
she doesn't get it.
doesn't the I don't know which one it is, but one of them, you know, if you're not good in this life, you come back as something like less, you know.
Yeah.
And so
what is not good though? Like you not believing in that religion or doing something that harms other people?
Doing something that harms other people, I would assume.
Well, then you would technically
what
come back as something better.
Oh no. Are you kidding with my history?
So it's not like Christianity. You have like if you can't just like be good again and then everything is cool.
I don't.
It's
think
like your
so.
whole life.
I would assume. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this kind of theology. I just imagine that I don't do everything to the best I could at all times. I'm sure that looking back at my life, there's been a lot of low moments where if I was some sort of super deity, I would probably tell me to go fuck themselves and you're going to have to come back as a parrot.
Well, that's all of us, man.
Maybe not a parrot.
What human?
Parrots live too long.
That's what cracks me up about religion. It's like what human in every way actually lives like that. Even humans that dedicate their life to their religion and live by the book.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk is perfect.
Yeah, I like him too.
Maybe not perfect.
But you know what I mean, though? Like, who's actually judging this?
Yeah.
Like, there's thousands of deities that are judging this, or just one of all the thousands of
and then there's
deities and mystics and gods. Like, it's just all very confusing.
Then there's the crazy Muslim one, and then there's the crazy Jesus one, and they both are telling
each other.
Right. So I wonder if let's say that there was all of these different deities that people, you know, thought were real or whatever, Thor and, you know, Isis or whatever. Let's say that all of these deities were real and Islam was right and Christianity was right and Catholicism was right. Does that mean that when I die, I have to serve out like a sentence for each one? I have to Islam definitely. But
there's no way they could
worst. I'd have to go to hell. I would have to go to hell for pretty much every religion. I mean, because I don't believe in any of them. So they would all take out their eternal damnation on me. I
don't see how like they could think that would even be a physical thing. Like, why would it even hurt to be in hell?
Maybe
you don't have a physical body.
For me personally, it would be loads of country music over and over and over. It would that's what it would be.
Just like the same loop.
I left my dog last night.
Thanks, my tractors.
And now it don't feel alright. Just over and over and over again.
And you're just like tied to a chair.
Yeah.
And the radio is right in front of you, but you can't turn it off.
Yeah. No stimulating conversations. Just broken down Chevys and three-legged dogs. But
what else you got in your notepad?
Oh my gosh. I have so many things. Well, so today also, I don't know if it was today. I think it might have been today, but there was the solar probe launch. The Parker Solar Probe was launched. You know about that, right? The solar probe? Well, they've been talking about doing this for a while, but basically it's a probe because we really don't understand a lot about the sun. We don't understand.
To orbit the sun?
Yeah,
Cool.
this is solar probe. So what it's going to do is it's going to go out to Venus. It takes about 6 weeks to get there. It's going to go out to Venus and then start its ascent into, or a descent. I don't know if there's even ascent or descent in space. Can you ascend or descend?
No.
So it's going to start heading towards the sun, whichever way that is. And as it's going towards the sun, it's going to go around it. I think it's
like
gonna
fall into its, you know.
Yeah, it's going to orbit it, but it's going to do 24 orbits. And each time that it goes into orbit, it's going to spend some time in the corona.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to come out and cool down outside of the corona.
How?
What do you mean?
How does it know to go back and forth?
It's all about the way that it's launched into orbit. So it'll go in at a certain distance and then kind of get slingshotted around. And then when it gets slingshotted around, it'll come out
it's
like
like
at
an
an
oblong,
oval.
like orbit.
Right.
That makes sense.
So it'll slingshot out away from it, and then it'll come into the corona.
Right.
And then it'll slingshot it out further.
Yeah.
Or not further, but closer. And so this is cool, though, because we really don't understand the corona. And the corona is...
what is the corona?
Well, so there's the surface of the sun, and then the corona is off of the surface of the sun, but it's this plasma field of electromagnetic energy that is much more hot than the sun or the actual surface of the sun.
Oh, and it's going to be able to survive that?
Allegedly, I'm sure they don't know because they've never done this before, but that's what they're hoping for. They can. I mean, dude, there are some fucking crazy metals right now. Like, there's this metal that they just came up with. I don't know what it's called, but every time that it gets into hotter heat, it becomes stronger.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. And just as strong. So it gets into 2 times the amount of heat, it gets 2 times stronger. I wish I could remember what it was called, but it's really, I mean, they're just finding crazy ass metals out right now.
We need a Jamie.
I know.
One day.
Yeah.
Or maybe just have it set up to where we could actually look it up.
Yeah,
while
no,
we're talking,
I can't
but
look up and talk. I tried that.
It takes
it's
away,
hard.
it's just like way too much of a pause.
There's
and it takes away from
waiting
the
and-
conversation. But
Yeah, so who knows?
we'll work on getting a Jamie.
One day we'll have someone that can help us. I mean, and when we get the video stuff set up, that's going to be necessary, I think, because all
I think
this
so
stuff
too.
anyways, so this thing is going to go in and it's going to see, it's going to absorb the electromagnetic plasma and be able to, figure more shit out about it. So
is this an actual material that
What,
it's
the plasma?
absorbing?
Well, yeah, I mean,
That
it's
will
not,
be sent back to
No,
Earth?
no,
Okay.
no,
So it's not like that.
no, it's just going to
how,
read it.
how it reacts to it or okay.
Yeah, I'm not working for NASA, unfortunately.
Very cool.
But and then also they're trying to figure out how the solar wind goes off of the sun and out into the outer space. So it's
Solar
trying to
wind.
understand solar wind more because that affects us so much.
Mm-hmm.
The solar wind is what pushes particles to the Earth and creates the northern lights and all that stuff.
Oh, like
when
the
there's-
electromagnetic.
Yeah, when there's bigger, I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. I'm trying so hard to explain this, but when there's bigger like coronal mass ejections, that is what creates things like the northern lights to get more beautiful, I guess.
Yeah.
For us it's beautiful, but it also does crazy shit. Like, there was one recently that was totally affecting our satellite systems. I believe in the late 1800s, there was one that it came off of the sun so strong. It impacted us so much that all of the, what are those, before there were telephones,
Telegram? Oh, the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever those things are called. Before there were telephones, it burned all of those copper wires that went in there and actually shocked the people that were working.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember that.
yeah,
Well, I don't remember that.
It cost billions, and this is in
Yeah.
the late 1800s or early 1900s,
1900s.
late 1800s, and it cost billions back then to replace this stuff. And just think about, like, back then. I just said like again. Back then, there was such a limited amount of electrical grids and such a limited amount of telephone wires, and there was really nothing compared to what we have today. I mean, if we had one of that magnitude today and it hit the United States, we would be fucked with a capital. we would be so fucked, and it would destroy anything with.
People would die.
I'm sure fat people that. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying the
people who are dependent on maybe medications or things
I'm
like
sure
that.
People in the hospital.
Yeah.
People that can't
right.
figure out their own food and you know,
stuck in New York or something.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be detrimental.
Yeah.
I mean, I
especially
couldn't
with
imagine
how dependent we are on
people in LA.
refrigerators.
People in LA would be fucked. They, you know, can you imagine how many people live in LA? 3 million.
A lot.
Is that right? 3 million. Gosh.
Stop! Just don't guess,
Jamie.
Because then.
Yeah. Jamie, how many people live in LA?
Just say a lot.
A shitload. Okay. I think it's 3 million. But
I feel like it's way more than that.
No, it's not more than that.
Okay. Then
I mean, maybe it is.
Just hand me my phone, and I'll just.
No, I can't because it's turned off. I don't want to.
All right.
So, can you imagine all those people trying to get out of LA?
Oh yeah, it'd be awful.
And then there's all these people that are, especially up here, that are end of the world people that would be trying to, you know, I have 5 million pounds of dehydrated food and I have water stored, and those people would be the first to go because someone would come and kill them and steal their food. And
maybe, yeah.
More than likely. I mean, those people also have lots of guns, but there'd probably be militias or something that would, you know, this is all theoretical.
I've seen the movies. Oh, yeah.
I've seen the movies.
I have.
They're doing more than I'm doing.
Actually, there is a series that I used to watch. Can't think of the name right now, but it's basically like that happened. Like all the electronics got fried. There was there was like the rebels, and then there was like the military that would come and like.
It'd be Walking Dead without zombies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it would be like.
Yeah.
There's a huge probability of this happening, by the way. We don't understand anything about the sun, and we don't understand the cycles, but we know that there are cycles, and this has happened in the past. It's
crazy that we don't understand the sun as much.
I think it's crazy that we know anything about the sun, really. I mean, the amount of stuff that we know right now, especially when science really just took off within the last 1,000 years.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that we know anything about the sun. We're very lucky. I mean,
this is a cool time.
It is a really cool time. I'm so glad. I wish I could be alive 100 years from now instead of just now, but maybe not. Maybe we'll all be dead. But the idea that this isn't going to happen, and it's sad because people focus on such weird shit. You know, this is something I don't think people should be worried about this. I don't think people should be prepping for this, but
no,
oftentimes people think that we are just going to continue living and the only thing that could be threatening is Donald Trump. And that's not really the case. I mean, 99.9% of anything that's ever lived is now extinct. And the idea that humans are going to live forever, that's just crazy.
Well, yeah, we have such a short lifespan that I don't really think that we realize, especially us, like in my, group of people, I guess, like we've had it pretty good too.
Oh yeah.
So it's hard to imagine something so detrimental like that.
Yeah. That and the Yellowstone super volcano. Those are the things that I think are fucking insane. There was just another, I was reading about it. There was just another like 153 minor earthquakes over there in the last week.
Are we're not in the dead zone?
Oh, we're dead. Everybody's in the dead zone.
No.
I know the initial blast.
Immediate
Boise
dead
is,
zone.
but we're not. We're like right outside of it. In Coeur d'Alene, we're literally just right outside of it. But we'd be dead very quickly because of the ash. I mean, our air quality up here would go so bad so quickly. You would be falling very quickly because I know how much that affects you. So you'd probably die real quick.
I'm not feeling super good right now from the light smoke that's
right,
outside.
which is why we need to go to the Army surplus store over in Sandpoint because they have gas masks, and we'll just get some.
I'm not gonna wear a goddamn gas mask.
If there's like ash thick in the air.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you meant like right now.
Oh no. But maybe.
Yes, I'd wear a gas mask if there was ash.
Yeah, if we could do that and continue living, I think that I'd wear one, but it's just going to be...
But for how long?
Well, we would die very quickly because then the whole earth would get covered with ash, and then there'd be a nuclear winter. We wouldn't be able to grow any crops. It would be really interesting to see what happens. I'm sure there'd be a lot of sinking and swimming. I don't think I'd be one of the ones swimming. I think I'd be one of the ones sinking.
Yeah.
I'm not all that prepared. I don't know how to survive.
No.
I rely on grocery stores.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad
do.
to admit, but I would certainly try. And I'd probably try a lot harder than a lot of people would. But I mean, when it gets down to the nitty gritty of it, I'm not gonna.
We don't hunt.
I know.
I don't even think that would like help though if Yellowstone blew. Like, I
Well,
don't
no,
think
the
any
animals
of
would
that.
die too.
Yeah, none of that would help.
No.
No matter how survival skilled
You would have
were.
to be one of these super billionaire characters that have underground layers,
submarine or something.
Underground layers with huge, hydroponic systems and generators that run off of diesel and then diesel tanks forever. And I mean, I just think that it would be very difficult. I'm sure that there are things like that out there, though.
Or like in
Alex Jones probably has 10 of them.
Yeah.
10 underground layers.
Guaranteed.
And that's why I want to be friends with him so bad. You know, I'm like, Alex,
You don't want to be friends
everything
with
you're
Alex
saying,
Jones,
everything
dude.
you're saying is true. We're gonna create a YouTube, and you can talk about all your crazy shit on there together.
He got like told off on deplatformed on what was it? YouTube, Facebook,
Twitter. I don't think Twitter did. I don't think Twitter did, but I don't know for sure. But
just because he talks about crazy shit, is that what the deal?
Well, it has a lot to do with him denying Sandy Hook.
Oh.
But it's bullshit. I mean, the thing is there's so many things that you have to look at with this because, first of all, people like Alex Jones are everywhere. Alex Jones has a lot of followers. That's the only reason that everybody picks on him.
Yeah.
It's because he has a bigger voice than everybody else. But I mean, we know people that are probably a little bit more crazy than Alex Jones. I mean, at least Alex Jones doesn't believe in the flat earth. And I'm sure Alex Jones believes about 40% of what he says.
Yeah, he falls
I think he's intelligent. I don't think that he believes that there's interdimensional child molesters. I just think that he's got a
character.
He's got a great character.
Yeah.
You know, he's all really loud and obnoxious and emotional and just plays all this crazy shit out. But I think that he's just figured out a way to nail down that market. Like, and he also InfoWars. That's such a catchy thing, you know, and
sells iodine and
the dude is he's figured it out, you know. But
yeah, he's making good money.
He's making millions. And I don't think that he should be deplatformed though.
Good, just for like freedom of speech purposes.
Yeah.
Oh no, I agree.
Everybody should be able to say whatever nonsense they want to say without being deplatformed. If neo-Nazis want to have a Facebook page and talk about how whites are better than blacks, like, let them fucking have it.
Yeah.
Let them have it. Because people
still gonna hate you.
and they're going to hate you more.
Probably.
We need in order for society and culture to work, we need people to be able to talk about stuff. We need those people, those fringe groups of people, to be called out and demonized by other people.
Society.
Not just thrown into a corner with each other somewhere, hiding. You know, because then they're going to be able to recruit more and nobody's really know what their crazy little plots are.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I just think that by taking people off of some sort of network, you're not really fixing the problem.
You might be making it worse.
Yeah, you
possibly.
could be making it worse, and you're basically saying we control what you guys think.
Yeah, I don't like that.
No, it's so scary.
At any cost.
It's so scary because so Alex Jones is first, but who's next? I mean, are they going to deplatform? Like, what if Joe Rogan has Alex Jones back onto his podcast? Are they going to take that off of YouTube? Are they going to take that off of social media?
Right.
And that's not now we're getting into a whole nother area of control.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, it's a private company, but
North Korea.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, it's a private company, so they should be able to do whatever the fuck they want. But it's not, I mean, they're not treated like a private company. They have huge government rules and regulations that the government helps them. I mean, the government is extremely involved in their sites. And this is where a lot of people are getting their news from. This is where a lot of people are getting their information from.
Anyone can start a channel and use it.
Right.
So
and that's
pretty public to me.
Way crazier things on there than Alex Jones. There is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, there's some on the other end that are because Alex Jones is super right.
He's
you know?
super Republican, isn't he?
But there's people that are on the left that are super crazy.
Yeah.
But I bet they don't get taken off because YouTube and Facebook and all these Silicon Valley companies are all super liberal.
Super left.
So they're just gonna keep on promoting that, you know. And they do that. Anytime. I mean, Douglas Murray, you know who he is? He's that British guy that I think is fucking awesome.
The guy who got fired from his...
No, that was someone else. But Douglas Murray is an author and a writer, and he's just blunt. I mean, he talks about real shit. I don't think anything he says is outlandish whatsoever. I really don't. But they had, you know, Sam Harris has had him on. I think Joe Rogan's had him on. I think the We the People Live guy, I really like him. I don't remember what his name is, but I think he's had him on. And every time I've ever heard him talk, it's just really scientific. I mean, it's not crazy. Nothing that he says is
What is he
edgy.
talking about?
Whatever. I mean, he talks about gay people, you know, transgender, whatever. I mean, whatever it is, it's just touchy subjects, race.
It's just like taboo. Like,
it's just taboo topics that people don't want to talk about. And because he talks about it so openly, and he doesn't, I mean, I want to say he's gay, by the way. I think he's gay, you know?
Oh, like people are getting on him for being like a homophobe person?
No, just talking about stuff. That's what I'm trying to say is that now we are at the point where just talking about stuff that's taboo is too sensitive. People just don't want to hear it. It's like they want to put their hands over their ears and yell, you know, la 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 la.
I don't understand that.
I don't either.
It doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
why?
There's
we live in an awesome time where everybody pretty much accepts everybody for who they are, and we can't talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part.
And the
people
part,
that don't, well, and this is kind of like what we were talking about earlier, is the people that don't are such a small percentage of the people, but that is the people that everybody focuses on. I mean...
You mean like far right or...
Far right, far left, far whatever.
The extremist.
The extremist of anything. The extremist, everything but Islam. People focus on the extremists. For some reason with Islam, the extremists are just, those are the small fringe group people. Don't pay attention to them because it's Islam. That's the funny thing about this crazy, you know, media and stuff that's going on right now. Is if there's extremists in anything at all, it's demonized. But when there's extremists in Islam, it's okay. You know?
By the far left.
Right.
In their eyes.
Right. Well, yeah, and the far right is the total opposite. So the far right is like that with Christianity.
But they almost like they're not welcome here at all, though.
Right. They would be like, if there was any sort of terrorist attack, if there was a terrorist attack, the far right would say, "Oh my gosh, these effing Islam, whatever."
Blame every people who come from there.
It's this is why Islam's a problem, blah blah blah. But if there's a shooter that shot something up in the name of Christianity, they would be saying a whole different thing.
Of course they would.
But it's the same thing though. The left does that with Islam. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, we need to look at Islam for what it is. It's a terrible religion.
Yeah. And
that's just the truth. I mean, I've read the book. Like, I know what they're selling. And it's terrible. It's not fun. It's, you know, but I also feel that way about every other religion too. And I just think that Islam's the worst. And so but
like the most violent and
but then when people talk about Islam on the news, they don't want to talk about the bad parts of it because they're so afraid of blowback. And it's sad. I mean, it's really sad that people can't criticize bad, shitty ideas. Yeah. You know, that Islam is just a shitty idea. It's just...
Yeah, and it's not those people's fault if they're born into it.
Right. And I mean, I would never, ever, ever tell a Muslim that they're not a beautiful person. I would just say that they don't believe a beautiful religion or whatever. It's just an ugly religion. And I love Muslims.
But you feel that way about Christianity.
Sure. Yeah, I love Christians. I just think the religion's stupid as fuck. Yeah. And same with Mormons or whatever. Scientology. I mean, anything. Vegans, you know, like any ideology that's taken to the point where you're trying to shove it down other people's throats.
Any extreme religion.
Any extreme side. But with Islam, it's especially scary because we're so accepting of it and accepting, I mean, of the way that they treat women, you know, it's sad. I mean, the women are abused. Literally, it says in the Quran that you can abuse your wife. You can hit them, you know, if they're out of line. Women can't talk. They can't be educated. In a lot of these countries in the Middle East, they've been, you know, taken out because they can't drive vehicles because they say that will mess up their uterus.
Really?
Yeah. That's why in a lot of those countries, and they can't go to school. They can't, you know, Afghanistan is terrible for women. They had the highest. There. Oh my God, the rape is insane. And the crazy thing about it is if you get raped and your family finds out, they'll kill you.
Yeah, that's sad.
Because you got raped.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer beautiful or a virgin or whatever. So.
Yeah, that is super sad.
So I didn't want to get down the Islam train, but it's just, this isn't me condemning the people that believe it, obviously. This is just the truth of what the religion is. And I'm not Republican. I'm not, you know, I just think religion is stupid. And so a lot of times when I've noticed this, whenever I am around people that are in line with my thinking, you know, so more to the left and, you know, liberal or whatever, I would definitely say I'm more to the left than to the right. Whenever I talk to people that are more to the left and stuff, and then I say something about how Islam's shitty, I always get this this jockeying reaction where
I think that's because of media, though. I think they make it seem like if you feel that way, then you're
racist.
Yeah, I guess
that's what it is. They think that you're racist. It's not a race; it's a religion.
I think listening to that though is super weak. Because you're falling into that trap of, you know, just dividing it even more.
Yeah.
It is really funny, though, how, like, the right and left, if you claim to be one, you kind of have to adopt all of their ideas.
Exactly.
Like, if you're Republican, you're Christian, you hate abortion, you have to check off on all these silly things. And same with the left. It's
the opposite,
But they're the same, what's that quote? Same... two wings on the same bird, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just a game.
It's just a game, and it's just a way to get people more divided.
Absolutely.
Because whenever people are talking about, I mean, I have a lot of family and a lot of friends that are super liberal, and I have, you know, some that are Republican. And I always hear, well, this is.
You hear the same shit.
Yeah, they just say the opposite thing.
Of course.
Well, those fucking lefties or whatever.
Oh,
and then you hear those fucking Republicans, and I'm just thinking.
They blame it on each other.
Like, what are you guys doing during the day? What do you guys, you know, isn't there something more important that you could be doing than focusing on this?
Don't watch the news.
I know. And, well, it's like, I don't want, you know, I think that it's important to talk about it, but the problem is that whenever people talk about it, as soon as they start to talk about their beliefs, they get that pullback, and they don't actually want to talk about their ideas.
Right.
They just want to demonize the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. I think that.
Yeah. Well, they're identifying with a team.
Yeah.
They pick a team.
Yeah.
And they know the rule book of the game, and then they're, you know, that's my team. And they go blindly following it.
And it's weird. It's especially weird with the Islam thing, though.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's especially weird just because I've personally felt that when I've talked about it openly and felt the pullback from people. And I'm just like, whoa. 5 minutes ago, we were talking about how shitty Christianity is.
Yeah.
And you were bashing it. And saying how nobody should believe in something like that and all, you know. But then the second that Islam gets brought up, all of a sudden there's this pullback. Well, it's not all Muslims that are bad. It's like, no shit. There's not all of anything that's anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the fringe ones.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very authentic.
No, it's not. And it happens all the time. So it's funny that I feel like I have to put that caveat out there that I'm not, you know.
Yeah, don't do that.
Well, I don't want, because of this, because I think that it's important to fully explain that, because if you don't fully explain it, then maybe someone who is super, you know, on the left or something and doesn't feel like they should talk about this kind of stuff with Islam, they'll might
judge you and not listen to what you have to say.
Well, that, but also they might, if they hear the full thing about Islam and why it's such a bad religion, they might start to say, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't just fully accept this. Maybe we should look at what's going on over there, because when it comes down to it, I don't believe that we should be dropping bombs on them because they're Islam. I think that we should be educating the women.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start to educate the women, the whole country is going to start coming up. As soon as women get more power, it's going to pull the country up, and I think that is what we need to be doing over there. Yeah. That's what we need to be focusing on, is really trying to get more education. Yeah. And education is always the answer. In my opinion, it's never freedom of speech. It's
never less education or less conversation.
Or bombs. Freedom of speech and education, two most important things. I think that we are so lucky to be in America where we can talk about these ideas freely. You and I most people, we're so lucky. Yeah. Because even in other countries that are really great countries, for example, what's oh my gosh.
Jamie.
I know. Just kidding. the country, it's in the Middle East that, I'm going crazy right now.
What is in the Middle East? What?
The one that Tom lived in. Do you remember?
Oh, Dubai.
No, not Dubai.
I thought he lived in Dubai.
No, but we can use Dubai as an example. Fuck it. So, Dubai, for example, if you talk out against the government in Dubai, they can kill you, and they will.
Yeah.
Or they'll put you in prison for the rest of your life. I mean, literally for the rest of your life. Yeah. There was someone that, I think it was in Dubai, there was a female that just was arrested over there for kissing their partner, but they weren't married, and she's going to prison for 10 years. 10 fucking years.
This was an American woman?
No.
Right?
No.
Oh,
this wasn't. I think she was Turkish.
Oh, okay.
But regardless of that,
I know. I was thinking
she wasn't a resident there. She was on vacation.
That's what it was. Yeah.
She wasn't a resident.
Yeah.
But this is the scary thing about everywhere else in the world. You talk about something and you end up behind bars. You do something, and us as Americans don't get it. We think that we're Americans and whatever we do, say, goes. That's the truth. If you talk to people from other countries, they're just like, you guys think that you're the shit, but over here, it's not the case. And so oftentimes Americans go over to other countries in the Middle East, especially where it's extremely strict laws, which is crazy. And then people act like an American, and then all of a sudden they end up in prison and they're captured for a long time. And then the United States has to come waddling over there and try to negotiate and do all these things to get them back out. But Singapore, what I was thinking of earlier. Singapore, I think that there was someone that moved to the United States that spoke out. They're from Singapore, and they spoke out against Singapore, and Singapore wanted to extradite them back to Singapore.
I feel like we as Americans don't really get it. We're so privileged over here.
We're so privileged. It's insane.
And all we're doing is arguing about
stupid shit.
It's so weird.
I know. And it's so funny too, because,
and I'm not saying that I feel like I'm better than other Americans. It's not like that. I know I'm privileged.
Oh yeah. No, we definitely are. You and I definitely are. We eat, we drink water.
And
here's the funny thing about drinking water is we don't think drinking water is cool. Like Americans here, it tastes like shit. I'll have a Mountain Dew.
Give me a Coke. In other places, people don't have clean water to drink.
Yeah, they just have to get spoonfuls of larvae and shit and microorganisms and drink that and get tapeworms. We are so lucky.
I know. I was complaining about the smoke earlier today. And then I was thinking about our podcast tonight, and I'm like, I know Eric's probably going to bring up some like third world type of stuff. And then I like immediately felt like an ass.
Well,
for having a little bit of a sore throat.
Yeah. The funny thing about it too is, and I've been thinking a lot about this, is even the shittiest person in the United States lives so much better than we did just 300 years ago. Think about living.
Cleanliness.
Yeah, think about living in like England or London. London was a shithole, literally, back then. I mean, just feces and fleas everywhere. And the only way to get the fleas to not get on your clothes was to hang your clothes above shit, because they didn't even like the smell of shit. So I'm serious. So you'd hang your clothes above sewage so that the fleas wouldn't go on it. So that when you put your clothes on, you smelled like shit. So the fleas didn't go on it. I mean, that's just... those are probably the people that were living good back then, that were able to hang their clothes above shit.
Who had clothes and places to go with clothes on.
Right. I mean, think about the people that were in castles. They didn't have showers, you know?
Yeah.
And we are so lucky to live in a time where you and I live in a fifth wheel.
Yeah.
And we bitch and complain, but we have 4 walls around us and a roof. And we have...
I love this fifth wheel.
I know. We have a heater and an AC that doesn't work that well.
I think it's important to note that, I mean, the fifth wheel was by choice. Like,
oh, yeah.
We were living in a good house before renting. We just were trying to get ahead, you know? But,
yeah. But
like, it's still...
we have the option to do that.
Exactly. We have the option to buy a little fifth wheel or to stay in an apartment. Like, yeah.
It's just,
cool.
It's so crazy. And, this kind of takes me back to one of the other things I want to talk about. Actually, it's so ironic that we somehow got onto this, because I was just kind of curious and looking at modern day slavery. And how many people do you think are currently enslaved?
30 million.
Oh, you looked at my notes.
I briefly glanced.
40 million.
Oh, word.
Worldwide, there's 40 million, but there's 30 million in Africa.
Oh, okay. No, I briefly just glanced at whatever page you had open.
Yeah. So I don't want to hear any of these conspiracy theorists ever talk about how we're enslaved again. You know? I always hear, oh, we're so enslaved.
Yeah.
We're working for the man. We're getting taxes. These people are literal slaves, chained up, digging for conflict minerals so that we can so that we can post on our computers about how we're enslaved. You know,
like for iPhones,
for
you mean,
or for lithium batteries. Lithium batteries are all conflict mineral derived. I mean, and the crazy thing about this was we had a pretty good thing going. Whoa.
What?
My bracelet just broke, I think.
Oh, shit.
That's okay.
No, your bracelet broke.
My silver bracelet. So, what's crazy about this is that we had some better laws in place for conflict oh my God, I can't talk. We had better laws in place for the acquisition of conflict minerals. But I think Trump in May rolled those back, so we no longer have those in place.
Go Trump.
It just had to do with it had to do with how we were getting different minerals and stuff. But it's just something to think about. I mean, I don't want to say that
like he halted the progression of that, you're saying?
No, he definitely turned back the clocks on that.
Oh.
I don't want people to think that I'm just like talking shit, you know, about.
Dude, that's the truth.
Yeah, it's just we really should reevaluate how we word things, because we might be a modern day version of a quote unquote slave if you really look at taxes or whatever. I mean, that's the claim, right?
Yeah.
But anybody that works still has a roof over their head, food, and I know I sound like a government puppet right now, but we're so lucky. So lucky. We live so much better than anybody else in any period of time before us.
It's just being humbled, and I think words are very powerful. I used to say, "Oh, I'm so starving," when I was hungry.
Yeah.
And after I noticed me saying I'm so starving and thinking about people who are actually dying of starvation made me feel so weird. I'm like, no, I'm not starving. I'm just, ready to eat. So I do, and if I say that now, I immediately call myself out on it.
Yeah.
So I think you're right.
And
we could definitely be a little bit more aware of how other people are, their struggles.
Yeah. I've just been thinking so much about Africa lately, and the whole situation with conflict minerals, and they just found a new super rare type of diamond that, it's a
that
blue diamond.
sucks.
And it was cool for a while because they figured out a way to compress carbon and make diamonds that were authentic diamonds, and
Without
having to dig them up.
mining it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that's a awesome, progression. And now they just found this new blue diamond that's super rare and super deep.
Yeah. We definitely praise rare things.
Yeah, it's so funny. Normally, I hate to say this, it sounds kind of demeaning towards rich people, but it's almost like rich people want to acquire it through the rare, worse means. They want a blood diamond over a diamond that was made in a lab.
Of course they do.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, because they want to be special.
But they're not.
Of course.
They're not special at all.
Of course. I think that's just like an honest to God human thing that humans are born with. They want to feel special.
Yeah. I think, okay, so if we're going to, if people really want to change the world, change something, if you want to make minor changes in your life that affect the world on a whole, I think people should really look at what's going on in Africa right now. It's not just the Congo, which is the one that I always whine about, but it's not just the Congo. There's so many Libya right now has slave trade. You can go on YouTube and watch videos of slaves being sold in Libya. They're just like when America was being propped up.
Yeah. Which was how long ago?
Well, the slavery stuff,
that
was 200 years ago. It's crazy, but the crazy thing is it's going on right now. It was crazy. It was crazy back then. I just, I really think that we spend a lot of time talking about the history and not talking about the present. And we need to. I know that the history is rough here, and I know that there's still a lot of afterburn from that. And we need to make it right. But we also need to look at what's going on in the world right now. If we want to, it's almost like
it's still going on in other places.
Right. I think a good way that we could right that wrong, would be if we start to
help other
acknowledge that the slavery is still going on today, and let's stop that shit from going on.
Yeah. That would be a good way.
That's instead of the super crazy left trying to be the super warriors for everybody in the United States. We're doing okay in the United States. I mean, there's still problems here, obviously.
Definitely.
There's still a lot of problems here, a lot of inner city problems.
You can't deny that.
No, of course not. I mean, like the death toll in Chicago, I just said like so many times, but the death toll in Chicago is so high. I mean, that is another huge problem that we need to be acknowledging and we need to be fixing. But there are other places in the world but the United States, and we don't realize that. We think of Africa as this small little place with dirt roads and people living in huts. It's a huge place with a huge population and
a lot of
nonstop rape and murder and theft and no clean water and no food.
Well, and then there's also places that people, the main language is English, and it is more built up. It's just it's very diverse in that sense.
Yeah, but even in those areas, there's still a shitload of corruption.
Yes,
in South Africa.
I'm just saying, I don't want to, sometimes I feel like Americans only have that picture that there's nothing over there but huts, and that's not true.
Of course.
Either.
Same with the Middle East. People think of that in the Middle East, it's just a bunch of sand and people walking around turbans, but I mean, Dubai is the most technologically advanced country there is, and it has the most amazing, beautiful architecture, and they make it fucking rain 52 weeks out of the year. Did you know that? They seed the clouds and make it rain over there, literally.
Really?
Yeah. They want rain because it's so fucking hot, and so they seed the clouds.
Wow. Yeah. I actually didn't know that. I knew they had an indoor snow, ski mountain where they do fake snow. Well, not fake, a machine that makes snow.
Yeah, they have programs over there where they seed the clouds.
Dang.
Yeah, I don't think it's legal in the United States to do that anymore, but they actually, they did it in the 60s. And they also did it in the Vietnamese War to flush out people in the jungle. But
yeah, dang.
Yeah, so it's really crazy though. These guys are so fucking rich that they just
Make it rain.
Make it rain, literally. I
That's
found that
hysterical.
I know those guys. And then did I ever show you the video of that? Oh no, I showed Ray. Did you watch the video of those guys over there with the Devil 16 or whatever it's called?
Yes.
And yeah, it's
with their cars.
It's like a $5 million car or something.
Yeah.
And it has 6,000 horsepower. It's called a Devil 16.
He showed me one where they had like pet not mountain lions, but like pet lions, pet big cats. That guy. I'm pretty sure it was the same some prince over there.
Yeah. And it's just hilarious because you just see this, $5 million car and this guy walking around it wearing like sandals. I don't know why it's so funny to me, because you would just think that the guy driving that would step out wearing some sort of Gucci suit with Armani shoes and sunglasses and his hair slicked back like he lived in LA or something. And then this dude that he steps out, he's just got this big white robe on with sandals and a turban, and I'm just thinking,
looking like Jesus.
This guy's got fuck you money on a whole nother level.
That's funny.
$5 million car. And out there, they got so much money, they could just make a road. It's so flat out there. They just make a fucking road for as long as you want just to top those bitches out. That's the life.
Is that?
The oil money life. Yeah.
Is that the life?
I would try it out for a day. I think it'd be fun.
It would be.
But, well, so do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm yawning.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, we love you. And if this is your millionth time listening to the podcast, we also love you. I would love it if you would go to iTunes or Stitcher and give us a 5-star review or a 4-star review or 2, 1. I don't care. Just review it.
On your computer, not your phone, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. Just give us a review. Send me an email. Say what up. mindmeltpodcast@gmail.com. And follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all that. And thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
We out.
See ya.
Later.